All right, welcome to the Comeback Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Blake, and I'm joined with one of my heroes in the fitness industry, Marcus. Marcus, thanks for joining us today. We're gonna jump into your story a little bit here, but tell us what it's like on the West Coast right now. What's the weather? What you're doing today? How are you feeling?
Well, our houses are not getting struck by lightning. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
We're
For the
we've
view, for the
gotten
listeners, hey, I'm buying a house and it got hit by lightning last night. I was telling Marcus off air, so that's where that joke comes from. But everybody's safe, everybody's good. It's just a big delay. Go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
craziness, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's life out here is cush, man. We got California weather, Northern California weather. It's warm, but it's not too hot. We don't have humidity. We don't deal with any of that. We're just,
Jealous.
we pay a lot of money to live here for a reason, apparently.
There you go.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. I know our listeners will too. One of the things we wanted to dive in today, and we're just going to jump right into it, is and why I thought you'd be so good at this is we have, we work with former athletes who want to still throw down, feel good, express their body in lots of cool ways, and have different goals, but not necessarily achieving getting on podium or winning gold. And I know that you've kind of had a similar story experience just following you from a distance. And I'd love to interview you just on what that was like. So let's start with athletic background, training like an athlete. Give us a little bit of your history, and then we'll move in from there.
Sure, yeah. Played all the sports I get my hands on when I was a kid. Soccer took up a big chunk of time. Golf, competitive golf took up a big chunk of time. There was probably a point right around 12 years old where I, in hindsight, I kind of wish I'd kept playing different sports, but got focused on those two. That took me all the way through high school. Then got into college, played soccer in college, focused on that, and probably right around junior year, just really got passionate about the fitness and strength conditioning aspect of my college sports experience. Always was into training, but layered on some education around proper training methods, and then just went deep down the rabbit hole of fitness, physiology, nutrition, exercise, like science application. Um, I was reading, blogs before they were cool and articles online, and I've just been plugged in ever since I kind of knew how to navigate the web and find fitness content. And yeah, that was over 20 years ago. So I've
Were
been
you a
doing
T
this.
Nation guy? Did you enjoy T
T
Nation?
Nation guy for sure. Back
Yeah,
when it was
yeah.
testosterone.net. So I was pre T Nation.
There you go.
Um,
That's how you know you're
yeah.
old school.
I mean, I had the testosterone shirt that was from that their merch. It just said bold yellow testosterone across the front with a black T-shirt.
I would love to get that now. That'd be like a
Me
retro
too.
shirt.
I don't know
Yeah.
why I threw that thing out. That's gold.
So junior year of high school or college? Would you say it
Junior
was like
college was when things really shifted for me. So I maybe similar and probably different to some of your audience. My college experience was not the like I wasn't a starter. I wasn't in the limelight. I didn't have the chasing championships, experience or feeling like I was an integral part of the team. I was sort of on the sideline, both physically and metaphorically. So I had to navigate those obstacles and challenges. And I think what it highlighted for me was like, okay, in the absence of like the thrill of the game, what do I still love about this thing?
hmm,
Um, and what I got clear on was that I love the physicality of sport. I love physical development. I love seeing myself apply energy and effort towards an outcome, and then see physical change happen in my body and how I moved. And then, you know, initially it was like, oh, look, I can train like this to get better at soccer. Hey, I can train like this to change my body and actually just see performance improvements in the gym, which lit me up. And then it wasn't but like 2 3 years after that that I stumbled across CrossFit, and so that was like sport
What
meets.
year was that for you? Like when you got into it?
Yeah, it was like 2007 was my first, like that was when it first became part of my awareness, was like the name CrossFit came across my, you know, in my worldview. And then
Yeah,
I started to sort of take the quick, I took the red pill.
we all did. We all did. It was a safe place, I think, for like lots of people right after sport ended to kind of get that competitive edge going. Still,
Yeah.
at least
Yeah.
that was my experience.
Yes.
It's 2007, junior in college. You kind of started hearing about it. When
Well, at this point,
what?
I'm out of college when I found CrossFit. Yeah, I was about a year removed from college when so I spent maybe 2 years just training,
Yeah,
and just being really into the
fitness.
gym, doing things outside the gym for fitness as a, not for sport specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And then, CrossFit, somebody said, "Hey, you want to go to this class?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll do anything, whatever."
Yeah. What was that experience like? Your first CrossFit class? Do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah, well, vividly. Yeah, yeah. It was with Kelly Starrett. So he was the owner and operator of San Francisco, or CrossFit San Francisco.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I showed up to a parking lot back of the local sports equipment store. They owned like a shipping container and a rented space behind there, and it was all outdoors. It was right in the heart of the San Francisco Bay. It was right down on the water. Yeah, we circled up. Everyone introduced themselves, grabbed a PVC pipe. We did the whole
Yeah.
drill. We deadlifted. We did sprints. We actually did it on the beach. So they have like maybe about a 400-yard walk to a beach. And so we carried barbells out there. We were deadlifting in the sand and sprinting to the rock and running back. And it was awesome.
That is awesome. Those are some good memories. I miss the old school like signing your name on the wall, like instead of doing it in Wodify, where like we all would write our time, and then you like look for those people's times, like, dang, how do they go that fast? And you're like, I'm
Right.
gonna beat them
Right.
today.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's cool. So I didn't know Kelly Starrett and you. That's who got you started your first class in CrossFit. That's kind of a cool story. What progressed you where you're like, hey, I think I might be good at this thing. I'm going to go pursue it. And then how did that take on like kind of a mindset and identity of who you were for a couple years? Yeah. And then we're going to go from there. Obviously our
Yeah.
audience knows we're kind of what we're doing, but yeah, lead us through that.
Well, it was a little bit of a slow ramp up for me, because in 2007, let's just say it was like fall or um, winter of 2007, I did that first class, and then I started med school the next year. So um, I had deferred my uh, enrollment for a whole year after I applied and got in, so I could take a year to just get a little bit of life experience, travel some, and then got to medical school, and that was full on. That was my identity, and it had been my identity for a while, because it's like 3-4 years of academic pursuit to try and get myself into school
Mm,
and do all the testing, do all the application, fly around the country, interview. So fitness was still central, but it was like it kind of needed to fit around medical school. And so I was out in Columbus, Ohio in 2008, starting medical school at the Ohio State University. And, you know, anybody in the CrossFit community probably knows of Columbus as like this, big thriving CrossFit mecca, because that's where Rogue Fitness is kind of based out of now. Like they have their factory downtown, and a couple CrossFit Games champions like made their home there. And but that was all years after I was there. So it was
mm,
it was a it was a CrossFit desert. Like there weren't CrossFits anywhere. The closest affiliate was a 30-minute drive, and it was Rogue
wow.
Fitness, but they were 30 minutes outside of Central Columbus. So I didn't really have an opportunity. Like I had been training at San Francisco CrossFit. I've been training, you know, locally, but then I was there, and it was like, okay, I'm just going to the campus gym and sort of putting together some, .com workouts. Um, but I lasted 1 year in medical school before I dropped out, and really to pursue health and fitness as a career, get into coaching. And I kind of found my home at a CrossFit gym in 2009. And that was local in my county. So another one had popped up. It was a little closer than San Francisco CrossFit, didn't have to make a long drive. And I just showed up and I said, "Hey, let me fold towels, sweep the floors. I'll do whatever you need me to do. Can I be part of this place? Get a membership." And yeah, I mean, pretty soon thereafter, it was like, okay, you're pretty good at this CrossFit thing. Like people can recognize what somebody's, first week and they're winning wads and they're getting the best times, and you could squat 300 pounds already. You could deadlift 315. You could do chest
Yeah.
to bar, kipping pull-ups, on day one. So I had a good athletic background. I had done years of bodybuilding. So I could do 15 strict pull-ups already.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think it's common amongst that community. It was like when there was somebody good that had some potential,
Yeah.
you just throw them in. Like, you got to do every competition, you got to do it all. And
Yeah.
I was aware of the competitive scene, and I always kind of placed those athletes like the highest echelon. I was like, okay, they're on the pedestal to me, and I got to put in my time. I gotta like earn my you know my fundamentals. And then, yeah, it was just within a year, they were like, "You want to be on our affiliate team? You want to help us?" Um, and then I was leading the affiliate team, and I was coaching all the classes, and I was an up and coming, fitness professional alongside being a athlete. And it was just like a beautiful, start to what was like a 7-year journey for me.
That's cool. So in that process of kind of like, I'm hungry, I'll mop the floors. What do I need to do to get in here? When did you kind of say like, hey, like personal training, coaching? Because one of the things, like, and a lot of our viewers know you, but some don't, but like, I consider you a very conscious coach. Like your podcast, you've been very thoughtful. Like, where did you start taking like that? I'm going to be not just like I'm going to be careful, but like I'll call it like a David Goggins athlete, where you're just go hard, don't be a wimp kind of person, to like, hey, I want to be educated, thoughtful, and like, how do we get to podium strategically? And maybe you don't see yourself that way, but I see you from a distance kind of that way. Where did that kind of come from, and kind of getting that hunger to go get after it?
That's a great question. I mean, I think it's probably rooted in my academic
Science background.
science background.
Mm-hmm.
As somebody who was reading T Nation when I was a teenager, before I even got into college, I I was exposed to a world of like, at the time, like the only scientists that were really doing strength conditioning, right? Because there weren't thousands of them, there were dozens of them, and they were all getting published, on T Nation so that they could sell supplements. That was basically the business model. Let's bring in Charles Poliquin, let's bring in Paul Chek, let's bring in Brett Contreras, let's bring in all these guys that are doing good work out there. Let's put all the best information here, and then
Mm-hmm.
spin up a supplement company, which they did fantastic with. Um,
I didn't realize they did that. That's smart.
they were the first ones to do that. Before
Yeah.
bodybuilding.com was really the place that did that. So anyway, but I was reading stuff. I got exposed to Charles Poliquin methods before I found CrossFit. I
Mm.
got collegiate strength conditioning. I was learning. I was learning, and I realized, like, I'm not the most genetically gifted athlete. I'm not. I think I ate enough humble pie in college where it was like, I'm not just going to walk out here and just be gifted the starting position.
Mm.
So it was more than just like, I got to just work hard. It's like, I got to work smarter, and that didn't pay off in collegiate soccer, but it certainly paid off when I was in the weight room
Yeah.
and learning how to eat correctly, how to train, to the best of my knowledge at the time, which was, I made lots of mistakes, but yeah, that just was really. And then when I got into, professional coaching, which basically I say, like, the moment you say you're all in on coaching and that's your sole income source, it's when you're a professional coach. Before that, you're a
It's just
hobbyist.
a
You're not.
hobby. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so I was a professional coach, and I'm like, well, you know, my idea of becoming a professional was go get educated, get a degree, get an advanced degree, and then basically learn from the best people and go and basically like live out your career trying to always level up and learn more. And so I
Mm.
found that in fitness. I was like, okay, well, who am I going to go learn from? Okay, I took the CrossFit seminars. All right, there's a huge gap here. Like, I still like, I think, it was like doing the CrossFit level one, getting into classes, coaching group classes, basically learning how to manage a group of 20 people. Then it was like, okay, let's take a few people through one-on-ones to get them ramped up to go and take group classes. All right. So work with 30 people. I'm like, these people are all different. Like, I'm trying to teach this person to do this and this person to do the same thing, but it's not working the same way. It's not so simple. Um, there's something going on here. I don't know enough.
Yeah.
It was simply like, I don't know enough to feel like I can confidently step into a room and know exactly what to do with each person.
Mm.
And that to me is like, if you're a professional in any industry, you step in and you don't have the answers, you better go arm yourself with the skills. And the best way to do that is to go learn. You got to go learn from somebody. So, I was like, okay, well, who in this community is thinking like a scientist, but is doing CrossFit? Because most of the scientists in the strength conditioning world were basically telling everyone that CrossFit was terrible, a terrible idea. And I
Mm.
was like, well, I'm doing it. It doesn't seem like a terrible idea. I mean, I can at least acknowledge that there's some things that are not like perfect about it. But man, there's hundreds of thousands of people that are stepping into gyms every day. How is that a
Mm.
bad thing? How is that that's a golden ticket to like make impact. So how do I go and level up my skills? And so I kind of looked around who was speaking a language that resonated with me about the science of training and development of athletes and just personal training. And that's when I linked up with James Fitzgerald, who was ran a business that ultimately became OPEX, which was like pretty influential in the CrossFit space. And he was running education seminars where he was teaching people about assessment and program design and nutrition. And he had 20 years of personal training experience, and then was taking that and applying it in the CrossFit world. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go learn from this guy. And he planted some seeds that were really impactful for me in that time. And
Mm.
so I started to look at training as like, you know, I'd say like the people that were around in the time, you knew the OPT or the OPEX athletes because they were using tempo in their training. They were doing interval work. They were doing aerobic work. Whereas the other camp that were like the CrossFit level one staff athletes, they were just throwing down hard every day. They were just getting
Every day.
after it. And so it was
Yeah.
like, okay, well, there's kind of two different camps here. We're all competing on the same stage. And it wasn't like one was better than the other because all the champs for the most part were kind of the just go hard mentality folks, right? They got smarter over the years, but like Rich was not smart about his training in his early years. He was just Miko was not incredibly smart. He just did more work than everybody else. He had built up a massive amount of capacity and volume and base strength. And so those guys that were winning were doing it differently than I was, but I just knew that wasn't I wasn't genetically gifted enough to go that hard and to
Mm.
not break. And that was what separated those athletes, was that Rich could go as hard as he wanted to and he didn't break. He just
Yeah.
was resilient. And so that's what gave him an edge. And nothing against Rich. He got super wise, super smart. Now he trains he's very logical and thoughtful approach to fitness. But early days, it was not how it was going. And I just knew I couldn't, I tried to do that and I broke, injuries, burnout, uh, overtraining, and so I was like, okay, give me a smarter approach. So that was kind of I know it's a long winded answer, but it's like the origin of like, I'm a thoughtful, science based kind of thinker. Let me align with some people that I can learn from. And then that sort of propelled not just my fitness career, but also how I approached the athletic side and the competitive side of the fitness, CrossFit.
I love that. That's a great answer, and I appreciate you taking your time on it. Now, obviously, there's 7-year career, right? I think you said that, right? 7 years in
Yeah.
the CrossFit world. How many times did you go to the games, and what was training like there, and when did you burn out, and what did tell us a little bit about that process and that story?
Yeah. Well, I competed 6 years. I took 1 year off, kind of in the middle. My mom got diagnosed with cancer, and
Mm,
that just became, you know, really more central to life than putting in the hours and the pressure of competing. And thankfully she got into remission. She got cured, which is a blessing for sure.
yeah, for sure.
So I did take that 1 year off. So I started in 2010, competed at all the games until 2016 minus 2015 when I sat out. Um, Training evolved every year. It was just getting smarter, learning more, and really realizing that what started out early on is like this is a sport of high power output in like the 3 to 7 minute time domain.
Yeah.
Clearly became not the case, right? Like you had to be able to span a much wider spectrum um, of energy systems and time domains, but really you had to become an incredibly strong and an incredibly aerobic athlete. You had to be elite on both ends of that. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what the training evolution looked like. It was, doing 5 to 15 minute wads most days in the early days to doing hours and hours and hours of aerobic work and getting really proficient at Olympic lifting in the later years. So if you were
Mm-hmm.
just look at Matt Fraser, like who probably was the best champion in the men's, world, like in terms of dominance. Obviously, like Rich is pretty similar, but Matt, like best
His
Olympic
ollie
lifter,
lifting, yeah, his ollie
best
lifting's
Olympic lifter
top.
to do CrossFit, and then ultimately set a new standard for aerobic capacity. Could run marathon distances and
Mm-hmm.
compete with some of the best, right? So it's like if you could do both really well, you figure out the middle stuff.
All right, I got you for a minute. So, side note on this topic: would you say muscle endurance or aerobic capacity is more important for CrossFit?
I mean, I couldn't pick, but if you don't have a massive aerobic base, you're
Yeah.
not going to be able to develop like the muscle endurance that you need for the sport, and that's
Mm,
principally because the bigger your aerobic base in CrossFit, the more you can tolerate the volume of training that is required for the sport. So people with, good, um, not genetics in like specifically like if you had the right limb lengths and body size. So let's say you're in the 5'8" to 5'9" range, you had an enormous aerobic engine, um, then you could develop the muscle endurance because at the end of the day, you're just doing tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of contractions. And if your limb lengths and your anthropometrics are not right, you're going to endure a lot of joint wear and tear, and
mm,
it's just you're not going to be able to recover as fast as the Noah Olson, who's 5'7" and had the perfect limb lengths and then was also a water polo player who just had a huge aerobic base.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way I hear that is that aerobics comes first because it builds capacity, and then you can have joint health and capacity to build muscle endurance.
Yeah.
Both, probably the answer
But
is both, right?
you can't show up at a CrossFit event without good muscle endurance and win
Yeah.
with a good aerobic base. Like you're going to
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
do 150 chest to bar pull-ups in a workout. You will hit failure, and it will just be about how quickly you can
Get back up on the
basically
bar.
recover and get back up on the bar.
Yeah. No, that's good. I mean, you were great. It was funny. Something popped up today on YouTube, and I think it was 2014 games, and you were there. It was one of them. It was a racing event. I think you did fairly well in it. but they mentioned your name. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. That's Marcus, and I'm going to be talking to him today. But there was like, it
Shuttle run.
was Frazier, I think, won it,
Yeah,
and it
that's
was shuttle
16.
run. And yeah, he's pretty fast for a little guy. Um,
Yeah, that's my
yeah,
that
but
was
but I
the
would
most airtime I ever got. I was in first place for 3 laps of that, and then on the fourth lap,
he
Dan and
smoked you.
Matt just smoked me. Yeah.
Did you finish second in that one?
No. I led until the final 50 yards, and I think 9 people passed me.
Oh man,
Gassed out a little bit.
it's all good. You've won an event at the games though, haven't you? Didn't you come in
Never
first
won
at
an
one?
event, but I did get a number of first place heats in my last year, and uh, yeah, it was kind of like, unfortunately, all the heats that I won, I wasn't in the final heat. So it's like once somebody sees like, oh, he did it that fast, like it starts to kind of change your, you got a better target to shoot for. But yeah, I took top 3 on a few events for sure.
That's great, Mark. That's cool. So listen, we athlete. You got a great resume. It's amazing. Shifting from that, like what started to happen towards that last year where you were like, I don't know if I'm doing this anymore,
Yeah,
and what was both the physical response to that, and then what was some of the mental hurdles you had to come across to get over?
sure. Yeah. So, as the career went on, um, my personal goals kept pretty much the same. It was, I want to improve upon last year. I want to fill whatever holes I have in my fitness game. Um, and towards the end, my time training just had gone up pretty considerably. So my big hole that I had to fill was aerobic capacity. I was a goalkeeper in college, and so never was like a true aerobic athlete. So I had to kind of learn that, and that takes time. That takes years to build, but it also just takes hours. On the bike, on the track, on the rower, in the pool. So, which I learned to love. I mean, matter of fact, if if I could just do aerobic, kind of training, I think it's some of the most enjoyable stuff out there. I mean, it's painful, but it's just like connecting with your breath. Just
Mm,
getting
yeah,
into that flow state. It just takes so much time. If I could do that and not lose all my muscle, I'd love to do it all. But
yeah.
muscle and high volume aerobics don't always go hand in hand. It takes a
Hmm.
lot of work to develop both. It takes a lot of volume. It takes a lot of food. But I was training a lot. I was competing in 2 sports, CrossFit and Grid League, which was like a spin-off
Yeah,
team based, CrossFit deal. Um, I was running an affiliate. I had built up a little business of online clients. I was actually coaching probably like 50 clients online, and was also doing some personal training. So I was maxed out. I was doing a lot, and
yeah,
I was kind of getting to this point now. It's like 2016 where CrossFit as a athlete, as a sport, was still very much, and even to this day, I mean, it never really got to any professional status where it's like, you're investing way more than you're getting out of it financially. That's for sure. So you have to be in it for some other reason than the financial gain.
mm,
And at 30, I think I was 30 years old, maybe 31, just got married, and we were trying to have kids. My wife got pregnant. She was pregnant at the 2016 CrossFit Games. Our baby, our first girl was going to be born in February. That was the due date. So I was like thinking, okay, I'm doing this 30 plus hour a week job called CrossFit, sport. I'm also running this business, which is another, bunch of hours. And now I'm going to add in responsibilities as a dad and husband, and we're going to buy our first house. And there's well, not plenty. There's good examples of people who have done that and who continued on from my era and kept competing and had families and had businesses and homes and all that. But I just looked at how I wanted to, what it was going to feel like for me to do that. The physical part of CrossFit was never, I mean, there were painful days. There were, hard sessions. But all things, being equal, like I would welcome that. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
It was the mental and kind of emotional toll that level of competition took, which was more of like I didn't I didn't go to the gym, train, and then shut off my brain. It was I'd go to the gym, I'd train, but I would think about the training hours leading up to it. I would think about it at night. I'd wake up in the morning. I'd be, let's say it's getting close to the open or getting close to some competition. Like there's that like low level of anxiety that just would build and build and build till it would be, all consuming. And I think some athletes have a better ability to sort of compartmentalize things and just like they don't get anxious, they don't get stressed, they just kind of show up and just go for it. Um, or they can just their perception of the anxiety and the stress and the pressure is different than mine. But I knew that was the thing that started to wear on me. It was like, man, I don't know if I can tolerate doing the stuff outside of the training that it takes to be really good and
Mm.
be a present dad or present husband or really try and take my business to a new level. And that was also a very critical time too, where it was like my identity was as a CrossFit gym owner who was a minority partner uh, with my business partners. And not that I wanted to chase like I need to have my own thing, I need to be the man, but I ultimately was like I want to create something that doesn't align with their vision anymore. So I'm going to go and start my own business.
Mm.
So it's like, okay, I'm having a baby. I'm going to start this business, which is another baby. And then where does this CrossFit thing fit in? And
Yeah.
so, it's just life circumstances are changing, and my identity was starting. I could feel an identity shift happening, and I could
Yeah.
feel like if I take on this new identity of like father, business owner, husband, I'm pretty confident that I'm not going to be able to do the CrossFit athlete identity in the way that I've done it for the past 7 years. It just
Mm.
wouldn't, it was no longer, it didn't make sense. My passion for it was still there. The, I was still making physical progress. Like I had, one of my
Yeah.
favorite stats for myself was that for 6 years, I improved every single year, not just in my fitness, but in my placements at the CrossFit Games.
That's awesome.
35th. Yeah, it was like first year we were 35th in the affiliate cup, then we were 16th, and then we were 5th. And then next year I went to the games as an individual. I was 32nd place. The year after that, I was 22nd place. And the year after that, I was 12th place. So it was like I was on this upward trajectory
Yeah.
and I was building confidence in my physical abilities. But the emotional and mental toll was also climbing every year. My
Yeah.
expectations, my standards, what built up in my mind got more and more and more. Every year at the Open was the the lowest point of the year for me because it was that much harder than the year before. And it was
Mm.
and good stories like in 2016, I it was the third workout of the Open, and I was up at Nike headquarters when they were really making a big marketing push to try and put Metcons on all the athletes and just really get us out there in the public eye. And they wanted to do a live workout with us, like for the third workout. And I remember that day. It was like Josh Bridges, Kenny Leverage, Rasmus, Lauren Fisher. Um, I'm leaving somebody out, but like a bunch of big names.
A lot of big names. Yeah.
Big names, 10 cameras
Was
on
Ryan
us.
there? What was Ryan Fisher there?
Ryan Fisher wasn't a Nike guy at the time, so no.
Okay.
But like, big names, and we're all going to do this open workout all together. And I just remember waking up in the hotel that morning with my wife and just being like so overwhelmed with
Mm.
anxiety and stress that I
Yeah.
basically was like, babe, I think we should just fucking go home. Like, I don't even want. Like, I'm like, I don't think this isn't worth it. And this is when
Yeah.
I went on to place 12th at the CrossFit Games, beat Josh, beat Rasmus, beat all these guys that I was, in a room with. But man, it had just gotten so, like competition started to become. such a mental battle. And
Mm,
that I just knew that I didn't have space for that anymore.
yeah.
And I wanted to. I certainly wanted to. I remember sitting out the 2017 games, going to regionals in California, watching the regionals events, and just being like, "Oh my god, I would smoke these guys this year. Like I'm fit enough today that
Yeah.
I would I would probably get second or first next to Josh, you know. But it's easy to say from the sidelines. Super easy to
And that's no disrespect. I mean, I have done that a million times, and I get out there, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is way harder than I thought.
way harder, right? Right, right. So yeah, there was a big disconnect between my physical abilities and my mental capacity and emotional capacity to handle the sport with the
Yeah.
other things that were on my plate. And so the decision kind of felt pretty clear to me. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, we're probably going to go into this. It's like hanging on to that identity for a few more years, thinking, oh, I'll come back. I'll do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was tough.
So to walk us a little bit through that, and like, what was the thing that was holding on? Was it a self-worth thing? Was it like I'm afraid of something, like I'm not going to be this person anymore, or I'm going to get, I mean, literally I've had these thoughts, like I'm going to get, oh my gosh, this is where I start getting fat and old, right? Like, and then I'm just afraid of that because that's a value of mine to still be fit and take care of my body and feel good. Like, what were some of those emotions, if you don't mind sharing, like that were just the hard parts of you having to get over that and overcome that?
Yeah, well, I mean, every time that I competed, there was huge sense of validation when the competition was over. It was like people cheering for me, winning or placing high. Like it's something that validated everything I was doing, and
Mm-hmm.
I that I didn't have that anymore. It's like, okay, well, what's my validation now? That I look good in the mirror, that I'm strong, that my
Right.
business is doing well, that I'm a good dad. Like, had to like it was like how do I find validation for my work, and all of that. You can hear all of that. It's like all extrinsic validation, where I didn't
Yeah.
have a lot of intrinsic validation. And actually some of the intrinsic validation that I got was from training really hard, time and time again, day after day. Like that was
Mm.
what I missed the most, was like when I'm invested in this process, I feel extremely it's very rewarding and fulfilling that I'm getting like almost immediate feedback on how my effort and my work, goes into progress.
Yeah.
There was also the fact that like I wasn't relevant outside the CrossFit community as a coach yet. That was my whole audience, and I think that was a fear. Was like, oh,
Sure.
if I get too detached or disconnected from this community, am I going to be relevant outside of this? As a
Mm-hmm.
fitness professional, because that's how this whole thing started. I left medical school to pursue health and fitness because medical school wasn't, I didn't see a path to fulfillment and passion in allopathic medicine. I wanted to go do something else. So it was like fitness professionalism came first. CrossFit sport was this sort of side passion that turned into a very central theme in my life. But it wasn't what got me in the gym to begin with.
Right.
I was going to be a fit guy no matter what I ended up doing. Um, but I wanted to establish myself as a respected professional. And so it was a confusing time. It was like, is this going to be the time where, because I disconnect from my athletic pursuits, it's going to have negative repercussions on my identity as a fitness professional in my business? So that was
Mm.
scary for sure.
I can remember, I followed you. You've, side note, like, so I've been in a full-time coach for 7 years. So I followed you the whole time. And, I think it's like, the first, out of 100 coaches that want to go full-time in fitness, I think 80% drop out in the first 2 years. I think I read that stat recently. And it's just, so I'm really blessed to still be here. And I'll be honest, I copied a lot of what I saw from you. Like it was just you were a mentor from a distance, and I really appreciate you. But one of the things that helped change and make me feel okay coming from a CrossFit background to more of a I love CrossFit, but I would call myself a functional athlete, I guess would be like kind of more the lane I'm in. Is you did a change in your gym about 3 or 4 years ago where you incorporated some Smith machines and other stuff, and I could tell that that was like a risky move for you. Like it was a little bit like, how are people going to respond to this? Because I'm the kettlebell guy, I'm the Philly press guy, like power clean snatches, box jump, but we do this kind of in a way that doesn't tear you down, but you're built but not burnt, right? I think is one of the terms. So what was that like, just kind of making some of those shifts where you were like, I'm going to keep testing this and seeing how it's response? And then how did that help you kind of rediscover your love for fitness and kind of the identity that you've kind of molded into today?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's like if you just look at the arc of that, it's like I'm just slowly peeling back the layers of CrossFit from me.
Hmm.
Like I had a life of fitness and passion for training before CrossFit, and then I was always going to have one after CrossFit, and it just was like, okay, I gotta shed some of this identity, and more than, it's not just identity, but it's like philosophy that became kind of my North Star when I
Hmm.
was really deep into the competitive world. And look, it's like, it's not, now that I have more and more space from it, years of space from it, we're all training. We're all
Mm-hmm.
training to basically accomplish something similar. We want to go in, we want to stress our bodies, and we want to get some physical adaptation out of the other end. Whether it's strength, whether it's body fat loss, whether it's muscle mass, whether it's whatever, however you define athleticism, right? Like, you know, you want to go in and do the thing in the gym that gets you the result.
Mm.
There's tons of methods out there, but at the end of the day, you just got to go in and move. You got to put your body under some stress, and you want to put it under the right type of stress so that you get the adaptations and you don't break.
Right.
And when you are trying to earn points and win podium spots, you just have a different threshold of what you can tolerate, like, or what you want, what you will tolerate. You will
Yeah.
tolerate way more risk. You will push yourself. You will stress your body way harder, and you will accept that you're going to break. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You try not to break, but if you're not breaking from time to time, then you're not pushing it hard enough to win the points and earn the
Well
reward.
said. Well said.
Now, when you get into a different identity in your life, and this is to all the athletes out there, it's like you're trying to win other games. You've
Mm.
been winning games as a dad, as a husband, mother, wife, business owner,
Yeah.
friendships. Yeah, maybe you want to do a little high rocks competition, or you want to run a marathon. So maybe that's important to you for a period of time. But the bigger games that you're playing um, have a lower stress or a lower tolerance for breaking, like your
Mm-hmm.
physical body. It's like I don't really, I, I'm not willing to go or put it this way. I know enough now about training that I'm only going to choose the training modalities and methods that allow me to stress my body enough to keep making good adaptations without breaking.
Mm.
I love a lot of aspects of CrossFit, but how it's done most of the time, it flirts with that line very too closely for people who
Yeah.
don't have a desire to win points in a game. It's
Yeah.
like if the game is to just show up as a really, you know, lean, muscular, high energetic, functional person who can be present as a father, deliver their energy to the business, then choose a training methodology or modality that allows you to stress your body and not break.
Yeah.
And so first thing to go is like, okay, well, these are the sketchiest moves like in CrossFit. It's like, maybe I don't need to be snatching every day. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's take that out. Maybe I don't need to be doing, high rep push jerks at 185 pounds. Maybe that's got a little more risk than reward, and then you start to peel back some more layers. You're like, maybe I can just strength train and do my cardio separately. Like maybe that's actually a good maybe that's maybe that's actually a good way to sort of minimize risk.
Mm.
Oh, maybe actually if I just like squat with a Smith machine, I can get a great dose and I'm more stable in better positions.
Yeah.
Maybe if I actually like do, you know, if I spam shoulders on a cable machine, I can get great stimulus to my delts, but I don't I don't have to like put a barbell in my hand and go overhead.
Yeah.
Maybe if I get a leg press, so it was just peeling back things and just being like, okay, now I'm open to more tools to achieve
Yeah.
the same outcome.
I think, one of the, I'm listening to you and I'm just thinking about my own experience because I've really enjoyed this. But I think like, I was coaching CrossFitters and I just started having a lot of questions like, why isn't this working? Why isn't that person losing weight? Why aren't they getting stronger? Why does that person keep getting hurt? And I just kept seeing things and I have an inquisitive mind. I don't know if I would call myself a scientist. That feels a little too kind for myself, but uh,
Yeah,
but
probably.
like I'm a inquisitive person, and I looked at that and I just thought to myself, I'm wondering like, are we selling something that is not really what the person who's coming to class wants? And I found that when I got to know my clients that were coming to classes, they really wanted to feel good and go home and look better. And like, there's no shame in any of those things. And I started realizing that the modalities we were using were not probably the safest or most effective ways to help them get there. And I built a lot of my business because people hopped out of that and worked more one-on-one with me and got results because and then I found a really cool way, and I think you've done this really well at Functional Bodybuilding, where you kind of still give the itch of certain aspects that are beautiful about CrossFit and really we admire. And so people still feel that satisfaction of training like an athlete or feeling like they had some sort of, but they're not crushed or it's
Sure.
not killing their goals. So I just wanted to add that in there. But I want to wrap up here because I want to be respectful of your time and our listeners. So I'm going to end on these two questions for you. If you could speak to a former athlete who's feeling disconnected right now, what would you say to them?
Disconnected from like their fitness or their body or just
Yeah, disconnected from their purpose in fitness. Like
sure.
they've kind of lost why they're even doing this.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would say that you don't have to you don't have to know your purpose
Mm,
to take action. Like if you sit around waiting for what's your purpose going to be, um, you might stay stuck in inaction because there's a good chance that you're never going to find a purpose that will ever rival, trying to win a national championship
mm,
in terms of physical like application.
yeah.
However, um, if you start to take action and accept that, like this isn't about winning a national championship anymore. It's about unlocking my potential in the rest of my life, and just get in and start doing the work. Go to the gym 2-3 times a week, do some full body resistance training. You know, start to pay attention to eating your protein. Um, start getting your 10,000 steps a day. Then it would be you'll be so shocked at how quickly you find a new purpose in movement.
Mm,
It's kind of the like don't wait to be motivated, just be disciplined. Motivation comes after the fact, you know.
yeah.
People, if you're just waiting around for the day that you're going to be like, "Oh, I know what my physical purpose is." if that's you and you're the former athlete, if you're waiting for that time to come, it will come, but it will come with a very, very bad outcome looming in your future. You will
Mm.
get a health scare. You will get obese. You will get
Yeah.
a blood test result that it basically rocks you into action because you're now in fear mode.
Hmm.
And you have a choice to just say, you know what, like I pursued this thing. I pursued excellence in sport. You know what it means to pursue excellence. It means doing stuff that's hard and that you don't want to do, but you do it anyway. Now, like your physical health is one of the foundations to being excellent at this next stage of life. It's not the thing you're pointing towards, but it is a tool and a foundation for whatever else you're pointing energy at, whether it's being, you know, connected to your mission and your purpose in your work or in your family or something that you don't even know exists yet.
Mm.
Fitness isn't going to be that thing, and I wouldn't encourage you to pursue finding the next sport that you're going to play or the next thing you're going to train for, because that comes and goes. It's like
Yeah.
it's just like eating breakfast and brushing your teeth. You got to just do it, and it's going to not feel super motivating at first, but you will be so surprised at how quickly you regain that. And it's like, oh, I'm a month in, and now I'm digging training, and I'm feeling better when I do this other thing, and
Yeah.
then the motivation just starts to stack and stack and stack.
Yeah. Inspiration comes after the fact, right?
Yeah.
Marcus, this has been great. I appreciate you. Guys, go check out Marcus. If you don't know who he is, you're late to the game, but you can go check him out at Functional Bodybuilding or Marcus Philly on Instagram. And I've done his Persist program. It's a great one. Obviously, we would love to have you guys do one-on-one with us too. But there's so many people out there. We want to help people get healthy. But there's a lot of former athletes, and we're in it for y'all. Go like and subscribe and share this if you can. And we appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening.